Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kura Isagami, and welcome to a rather off-the-wall episode here on the Medarot News Network. In particular, I won't be reporting on anything new or doing any gameplay or streaming or anything of the like. I just wanted to take a minute and just kind of talk about the current manga tie-in collaboration event that we have ongoing. Because even just after a couple days of the event being live, I noticed some very important things, some very nice things that make this event probably one of my more favorite ones to date, excluding of course ones that get really generous with rewards or anything that lets us collect things already long past as maybe like a second wind. This event in particular is more or less kind of a two-parter thing that was kind of done all in one week, so I not only suspect we might get something more closer to Christmas, as we do have 1 week to go, but this event in particular, I do want to highlight on a couple of really interesting points I noticed that may make it a very favorable event not just to veterans, but also to new players. First of which in particular, if I do go to the event, I just want to point out how easy the event is. Unlike events of the past where you may see a bunch of levels nonstop, or even with events like this, they tend to stagger them over the course of 2 weeks and make them last. As you'll see with the event here, all you have is just one sheet. There's not a lot here, just a couple story events and a couple levels each, highlighting particular ticket bonuses between blue and gold or red and silver. So even if you don't have a super highly raised team, these are things that you could take on pretty easily with very little effort required, or even moderately raised teams, not even fully capped, could be able to take this on pretty easily. I mean, even taking a look at level 3 of EX4 here against Old Superbia, First Ace, and Stone Mirror, if you take a look at the event of the model in particular, they're only capping a level 90 metal and capped 3-star parts. These are really, really easy enemies, and that's the first really good thing I noticed about that. Even if you have an energy requirement of 60 energy per run on the hardest difficulty, these are really easy. This is honestly something that if you have medals over level 100 and you have fully capped parts up to level 60, you could come in and curb stomp this very, very easily with no real difficulty. Now, granted, of course, these particular bots may give you a little difficulty, but that's actually where you probably come in with a stronger ally, say an online friend or a rando, to come in and kind of comp that extra power for you until you can do it yourself. The other really big thing I want to notice too, and point out on, is the event itself and the bonuses. But just to tie on that too, let me highlight here real quick and go back to team build. Just to show you the team I put together, I skipped out entirely on Old Superbia this round because to me, I feel he doesn't bring a lot to the table that makes it worth the time or the rubies for me to invest in pulling for him and then raising him. So I went this entire event, even just the last couple days, realistically, without a maximum gold ticket bonus, which meant that theoretically would mean that I'd have a much harder time collecting those tickets. And for the most part, you're right. But let me just show you the team build that I went with in particular and show you what I'm running. So as you see here, the only bot of my 3 that has all 4 key ticket bonuses in this case is the Rokusho build over on the far left, because he's packing a Metabi part, 2 Rokusho parts, a Yak Spider part, and of course the SR Medarotter Kagami. So this honestly means he's the only one packing the gold ticket bonus out of everyone here, and naturally that would mean I have an easier time collecting the red, the blue, and the silver, because not only had I participated in this event previously the first time it came around, so I already had Yak Spider and a good chunk of the event rewards from that time, making this event a lot easier for me to farm. But that honestly is not the point. Even with the Medarotter banner, even if it on days where it's super unforgiving, I managed and got very lucky and snagged both the super rare Medarotters this round, which made farming for the tickets just a little bit easier, even if the silver ticket Medarotter didn't really add a whole lot, I guess I can call it, compared to the team build that I'm seeing here. But all the same, it was good that I snagged Kagami just for the sake that I could have those, because even if that was the only bonus I had, I was still able to complete it just fine. And the other really nice thing I want to point out with this event, as you see here, I'm not using any limited edition, no collaboration parts, Sure, I'm using the limited PvP skins, certainly, but as you see, these are all parts from bots that can be very easily collected from previous events for anyone that's played longer than, say, I don't know, 6 months. And Medabi and Rokusho in particular are super common. Like, you probably within the first couple hours of playing, you probably would have at least 1 or 2 parts each, if you didn't get lucky and snag a whole set on your first tutorial gacha pull. So the bots themselves also were really easy to obtain this round, not just for people that had previously played, but also you have a very wide variety for folks that are still coming in brand new and learning the mechanics. So this makes it a pretty friendly overall, pretty new player friendly overall event, I guess I can call it, for lack of a better term. Because compared to the Medarot pool, the Medarotter pool is not nearly as big, which means even just a few rupees more should probably get you even Kagami at the very least, moderately easy without too many rubies being spent. Now, just to kind of drive this point home as to how easy this event was, I do want to show you something further back on the event screen itself, and that is in particular the event rewards shop, where you can of course redeem all the tickets that you obtained. And the first thing you'll notice on here is all the limited rewards aside from the N rank Kagami Medarotter are gone. Sure, I missed a couple of Medarotter books right here, but aside from that, I collected everything already, and the event's only 2 days in. So that goes to show, even for me, I was using moderately common parts that I've already had up to this point, making this event a lot easier to farm. And I wanted to drive this home as a point that this event probably is most notably easier compared to others we've had in the past. I mean, if you look at all the other rewards here, I'm skipping out on a good chunk of these because I don't necessarily need them right now. I'm already capped up at least a few thousand of each. But just looking at the rewards, these are very good rewards, very easy rewards to obtain for anyone that's relatively new and in need of resources. A lot of NFRP chips, a lot of booster upgrades for leveling parts. These are very inexpensive to obtain, and these gold varieties especially, you don't see often unless you start purchasing bundles. So these are also really nice resources to collect. Metal skill upgrades of all levels from the highest rank, even to downgrades in this case too, are also very highly sought after, and always worth picking these up just for the sake of having them, even if you don't use the downgrades often. Medallium, same case. For the sake of raising your medals and limit breaking them, this is a very important material. Money canisters and credits that you can buy as well, just to kind of stock on money. Events like this are very, very good for money, because let me just kind of scroll down here a little farther, just to show, first of all, if you notice here, these rewards from here down don't have an expiration or a limit on them, which means you can buy these as often as you want, as long as you have the tickets for them. So always very good to collect just for the sake of having them. But this is where things get rather interesting. Look at these two items down here. The 1000 credit redemption coin cards for the red and blue keys at 5 pieces each. I've actually done the math in previous events that were ticket-based like this, and I found that if you can cap them up to at least 5,000 or so tokens of that particular color, that's a free 1,000,000 credits. That's very easily obtained. That's probably an hour of farming at the most, and thanks to auto farming, that becomes even easier to do. So that's definitely something you want to capitalize on too. But again, just to drive the point home, as you see here, I've already purchased all of Shaman Miko's duplicates. I purchased all of Torito Beetle, even though I didn't need them because I already had him fully capped out. The Elephant Medal, the Spider Medal I had from the first round, the Rubies, all the limited rewards aside from the orange books I've already collected because most of this I've had. And the reason I'm bringing this up is to tie in a point a lot of people have mentioned in the past and complained about in terms of events that Imagineer and Medarot S have released. And the main particular complaint people have mentioned is the fact that they're not rerunning previous events or rewards, making it impossible to collect those rewards for new players that maybe missed them. This event in particular is an excellent point of how to do an event right, because this not only is a benefit to new to veteran players, so they can skip out on the rewards they already have. In this case, the Kagami Medarotter and an R rank Torito Beetle and the Spider Medal, they can completely ignore those rewards because they may already have them. But for new players, that means they can collect not only Shaman Miko and the Elephant Medal like the veteran players, but they can collect on another free model and a free medal on top of that. And of course the Kagami Medarotter and an R rank to further capitalize on those bonuses. Imagineer, if you're listening to me, this is how you do an event. This is a beautifully executed way to appeal not just to the veteran players that have been sticking around for a year or longer, as the last time we did see this event was about a year ago, year and 2 months, 3 months or so. But this appeals not just to veterans, but also appeals to new players as a very new player and rookie-friendly event. This is what you need to do if you want to definitely keep up with your player base. Now granted, there are still some bugs when it comes to, say, power creep with certain parts or what you'd see in PvP League. That is a whole nother can of worms and discussion I'm not going to touch on. Right now, I'm just touching on the event and how nicely I think this one was done. It's beneficial to veterans, it's beneficial to rookies, and for these very reasons, I like how this event was done. Normally, I don't really like the ticket-based events super often, primarily for the fact that it makes collecting the bonuses rather weird. But this one I feel was done right. The reward versus the effort I feel is very nicely balanced. For veterans, it's kind of just a casual thing to do to kill time. For new players, it keeps them busy to collect a lot of new parts, great medals, and free bots no less. Torito Beetle and Shaman Miko are really, really good bots to collect for veterans and rookies alike. So Imagineer, this is how you do a rerun event as a part 2 essentially. This is how you do it. I'm not sure what you may have planned in the future for new events, for the Christmas, for New Year's, or anything else going into the new year, in particular in 2023. But keep doing this. If you go back and rerun previous events and even tie in a new bot every once in a while, that's definitely how you're going to keep your player base. It keeps the veteran players satisfied with something to do for extra Ruby stock, and it gives the rookie players a chance to collect on things they may have missed just by joining late and something that was completely out of their control. But with all that aside, I do digress and I could keep gushing about this longer, but I just wanted to take a minute and highlight the big points I thought really made this event stand out, even just 2 days in. So again, just to recap, the event, the effort versus reward is very, very nice, well balanced, great for veterans and rookies to highlight on rewards or even touch on things they missed. The collection for the parts and whichever parts were getting highlighted bonuses are very easy to obtain, and even if you don't have a particular bot or a ticket bonus to capitalize on at maximum, you still have ways to get it so that you can still collect on those bonuses and redeem them. Sure, having less of something will make it harder. In my case, because I didn't collect Old Superbia, I had the hardest time collecting the gold tickets, but I still cleaned out almost all of the limited time run items from the event store despite not having him. This is how an event I feel should be done, and I'm more than certain if you ask a good chunk of the community, both on the Japan front and your friends here on the Western front, we will more than happily agree with this statement. I do hope this means that this will be a turning point in an era of good hope going forward for Medarot S, but all we can do right now, folks, is just wait and see. Thanks again for stopping by, just as you always have, for this little off-the-wall segment, and until next time, and until, of course, the next couple days when I do record again, this is your host, Kura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.